he one can see his detachable collar, like his neckcloth has gone down, the knot of his necktie has gone down, and he's wearing a stud, like a collar stud. So I'm not certain it is a detachable collar. I think even the collar itself is opened. It pops up. I mean, one part detaches. No, it does not, unfortunately. But well, from what I can tell, it seems to be starched something. It does not seem to be fake in that. It will be paper or something. And at that time, finding collars in that style in the 60s in Britain, just like today, in that style and in that material, as far as I know, it's not that material, but that stiff. As far as I know, it would have been easier to get a modern imitation, basically, because they were still worn to something by older men, especially bankers. So they were still manufacturing a lot, especially by groups that now became known as bargers and all. But they were not really making the celluloid ones anymore, because these people are having more money and things have become cheaper. And also the last people wearing theirs had a minimum amount of money. They were butchers, bookkeepers, or bankers. Bankers even had more, and not commoners. So for certain, they were not really making the paper and plastic ones anymore, because the other people who still wore detachable collars, at least the very stiff, more Edwardian Victorian ones, like those there in the movie, those styles of one. The only people still wearing them, and by the 1980s nobody was wearing them anymore, except maybe like 2 bankers. The only people wearing them had enough money to get the actual linen and all cotton ones that were starched instead of a fake one in plastic that you would throw after a year or whatever, or a cheaper one even in paper. And even if they did not have that much money, in cases of butchers and shopkeepers, if they made the effort back in the 70s, because this is 1968, so almost 1970, to get one, to wear that, although it was very old-fashioned, it was to look pristine. So to look pristine, they would have made an effort to say, I spend more money, and I take the time to restarch it or send it to a laundry, rather than getting a plastic one. So I'm almost certain that all the detachable cars, at least very stiff in that television series, actually, instead of remaking them for the television series, they actually simply bought the stock of them that were still being worn by a category, a small minority of people back in the 60s in London, and not only eccentrics like me today. So basically these collars had not been made for the film, unlike the other costumes. They were simply purchased, and so they would have been starched cotton, most likely. Back then they were not making them out of linen because cotton lasts longer. They were making them out of linen because back in the older days, back in the days of Sherlock Holmes, only really wealthy people wore the ones that you had to starch. And so because they were very wealthy, they went to the point of actually having the linen ones, which are even less economical because they last even less long. Basically the fabric is ruined after 5 restarching. I have tested it myself with an antique linen one from the 1890s, early 1900s. So maybe the cotton ones would last 10 restarchings. So basically, I think the collars are all starched, like all the stiff ones are actually starched fabric ones, which is accurate for a person like Drebber, okay, but not for somebody like the killer, who is actually a nice guy, but who avenged the woman, like the one in red suit. You can see at the end when he's talking to Holmes, he's confessing. You can clearly see, to me, this is a starched cotton or linen, probably cotton, detachable wing collar, highly starched. And that chap who is a coachman, he would not have worn a collar like that. If he had a detachable collar, it would have been cardstock, linen, as I showed in the Gangs of New York, or a celluloid waterproof collar, or a rubber one which was very purely celluloid, or one that was cotton but waterproofed and celluloid, and it would have looked shinier, not like that. So this is inaccurate, not for history, not that it did not exist, but just he would not have worn that, not that character. He wouldn't have worn that on his wedding day, for Christ's sake, and I'm not even sure. He would not have went down in bloody prison. I mean, it makes no sense. And also, if this is supposed to be, it annoys me if it is. I want to move it and pretend it's supposed to be 1890s, since there's not actually give the date, because to be honest, if it is supposed to be the 1880s, it looks very inaccurate. It looks too modern. I do not know really where to go. I think by the fashions the women wear, I would try to see what the women wear. It's clearly supposed to be the late or mid 1890s, or early 1890s at the earliest, because usually with Sherlock Holmes thrillers, because they set them. You know what? I have enough of talking about Sherlock Holmes, but just trust me. I think it's supposed to be in the 1800s and early 90s because of what the women wear. So I'm okay with that. So I will say, obviously it's not like in the book, when the story is meant to be 1891. I will simply judge according to what time period they had in their minds. And so in that case, it becomes way more accurate. I'm also talking about the sorts there. In that case, I have one problem, that even with the cheap video quality, even on my cheap small laptop, and it's only 4080p, not in HD, this thing is not in HD, in the film, even I can see it is too impeccable, too clean. They are in London. Okay, they are rich, the bad guys, but I have just been traveling, and it was a sooty place. Their shirt would not have been impeccably white, their coats would not have been impeccable. He's wearing the bad guy, his friend, who comes in the first scene, he's wearing an overcoat, a double-breasted overcoat, which is very period accurate for the 1890s, as per what I know. But it's a light color, it's like a light cream beige, like a light beige, plaid with a plaid, like a Novacek, like Prince of Wales, almost overcheck, not really Prince of Wales, but something close to it. Like a plaid overcheck, like a formal plaid, not a Scottish-like plaid. And it's very light colored, and it looks absolutely impeccable. It would have had some stains through traveling, and also contextually, and even I want to say historically, because this becomes historically inaccurate because it is so impossible back then, especially for two fellas in the evening time who've just been traveling, trying to flee the bandman who's been chasing them all over Europe. Do you think he would have had time, however rich he is, he has to save his money to go into luxurious hotels, and not to go to the laundry every time he stops in a port? And it makes no sense. Now the color styles are very good. They're very high, double round color. Not very high for the time, it's about that high. And with the bow tie, which is probably pre-tied in order to put it in, probably just has a hook, because it would be impossible to pass the bow tie and then leave the fold. And the hat in white from Antique Menswear does it. I tried it, it's just so hard. Back then they also use a clip-on tie, which is probably what he's doing there. And he has a shirt which does not look... Is it white? If it is white, it annoys me, because especially if traveling, you would not wear a white shirt. White collar, okay. Now I have to judge the entire series, so it will take a long time. But this is one of the most accurate things I know, in terms of representing precisely the thing I'm into, which is 1890s Britain, and even upper classes, because this is at least upper middle class we're dealing with. And so this is great. And so it is great for people to learn through simply judging something so accurate. And then, so if you're interested in learning what the title of the channel is about, watch this eventually a playlist. What shall become a playlist.
Nobody gets rid of me that easy. I'm going to have another talk with that girl and she's going to change her mind. You see, you're crazy.
Oh, very good, sir. The chap in the brown suit in the beginning. He's wearing a light shirt with stripes. It seems like very light purple stripes. Equal width of stripes than the width of white stripes. And this is a very accurate color pattern that he would wear to seem like it's white, but actually it hides there much better. But the detachable color itself, which is probably starch cotton there, is white. And this is much more accurate than what they were doing there, where they all have white shirts 24/7. Even a rich man would all have a white shirt, especially for traveling and traveling over Europe, trying to flee a man, especially since he's wearing a lounge suit, which back then, but a short jacket, which back then meant an informal casual attire.